Good evening, welcome to Have I Got News for You? I'm Jo Brand. In the news this week, in Salford, a local reporter double-checks when the BBC's new head of pronunciation will start work.
Tomorrow.
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 No, it's tomorrow.
The man who invested millions in the Spice Girls musical demonstrates what he'd do if he met them now.
Bang, 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 bang.
And on the street in Tunisia, a woman is seen trying to reverse into a parking space. Oh, yes, yes, yes. On Ian's team tonight is a Conservative MP who's been described as a right-wing Eurosceptic with strange hair it's impossible to avoid referring to. Oh, and he also has strange hair. Will you please welcome Michael Fabricant and his strange hair? And with Paul tonight is a poet who recently said that Shakespeare and Baudelaire are the only poets he thinks are better than him. Which is debatable, but he's cheaper and the other two are dead. So please welcome John Cooper Clarke. And we start with the biggest stories of the week. Ian and Michael, take a look at this.
Yes. Nigel Farage.
Yes. Oh, this is the crushing defeat of the Conservative Party.
Well, now, look, I'm Vice-Chairman, supposed to be in charge of parliamentary campaigning, so this hurts.
So, good night for you, then.
It was...
How do you think it went?
I think it went... shall we discuss my hair?
Yes, this, of course, is the government's rightward lurch, otherwise known as David Cameron, which hoary old chestnut has re-emerged to haunt Cameron.
Europe.
Well, it's Nigel Lawson, actually.
Despite being 81, he has now changed his mind, proving he's a proper Tory. And he says we should leave Europe, and he thinks that'll get the core vote back to your lot.
Well, let me ask you a question, then.
Yes.
What has David Cameron made the Queen do this week?
Well, she had to make a speech.
That's right.
But it was mercifully short, I thought.
Well, it contained measures on controlling the rights of immigrants to the benefit system and scrapping widows' pensions for foreigners living abroad. So, for example, Michael, if you married an exotic Filipino dancer on a business trip to Manila and then snuffed it, she wouldn't get your pension. Quite right, some might say. And speaking of trips abroad, what's this about you and a jar of coffee, mate?
Oh, well, I was walking in Colombia, and it wasn't a jar of coffee, mate. I'd rather stupidly put it in little sachets, because... I was walking in the jungle, and these armed guys came along, and they looked in my backpack, and they were sort of like, what is this? And I reacted in my usual way, so they were convinced that I was obviously...
On drugs.
On drugs.
Who was the person you were with?
I will not reveal it at this particular point in time, as you will be embarrassed.
What, to have gone there with you?
Probably.
Now, what else are the government pledging to get rid of? And they're always doing this.
We're getting rid of red tape.
Absolutely.
We're always doing that. Well, we're going to do it this time.
So what problems might new proposed government legislation have caused this man, for example?
Oh, he's a landlord, isn't he?
He is, Rigsby. Yeah.
In Rising Damp. So, yes, landlords are being asked to check the legal status of anybody that's coming from abroad renting rooms from them.
That's right, which will involve landlords filling in a lot of forms, which will involve them in quite a lot of red tape.
Yeah, but look at this picture again. They look foreign to me.
Which ones?
I'd rather not say.
Yeah, I imagine you wouldn't.
Are you a real person? You're not like a character actor. This isn't like...
Now, let me ask you, what wasn't mentioned in the Queen's speech?
The career of Kirk Douglas.
Technically, yes,
Never
that
gets
is
mentioned
correct.
at all. It's as if he never made a film.
Gay marriage?
Indeed, that's right.
But that's because it's already going through, you see, so it wasn't new legislation.
So it wasn't just an attempt to look a bit tougher?
No, we're trying to look
hunky.
A bit
butcher.
Well, I've been asked to look very hunky. Don't you think I'm succeeding?
Do you know, I'm so worried I have no response.
I'm the new butch look of the Conservative Party.
Oh dear, what do the camp ones look like? The Queen's speech actually was written before the elections last week. How do we know this?
It takes several days for the ink to dry on the vellum.
It does take 3 days to dry out, a bit like the old Queen Mother. So, back to UKIP briefly. Now, Michael, you were one of the first to suggest a pact with UKIP last year, weren't you?
Didn't go well.
You said the truth is some UKIP members are closet racist. I'm going to be very controversial now and say some Conservative members might be as well.
Yeah. All parties have them.
Not the BNP, though, sure.
And now Nadine Dorries, she's back in the Tory fold,
Yep.
which I'm sure everyone's very pleased about. Which other high-caliber names are lining up to be UKIP general election candidates? Do you know?
Both the Hamiltons.
That's right.
Christine and Neil. Yes, you grow. But come the Farage cabinet, you're looking at the Home Secretary and the First Lord of the Admiralty. That's Christine.
Why shouldn't the government be too worried about UKIP in a general election?
Because if they get the same percentage of the vote, which is 23% of the vote, they won't get any seats at all. So a quarter of the country can vote for you and you get nothing, which shows the system's working.
But the good news is
you're still in.
Is that the BNP
Yeah.
would get in if you went for a proportional representation system.
Right. So you're saying better to keep it as it is?
I'm just saying that the British public, I'm putting on my Conservative Party voice now, the British public know what parties to support that will be reasonable and moderate. And that's all I want to say at this time.
The thing that amazes me about MPs is they don't seem to have any idea how embarrassing they are in public. They have no idea.
Nigel Lawson spoke out against the EU this week, saying it was past its sell-by date. That's Nigel Lawson, best before October 1989. Meanwhile, a jubilant Nigel Farage was still celebrating UKIP's success. According to the Sunday Express, he spent the weekend fishing for bass off the south coast. Take that, EU fishing quota. Paul and John, take a look at this.
Yes, there's Queen and Prince Philip having a little wave. That's working out the scaffold. You shouldn't be there for that. That's Prince Charles dancing with somebody, a close admirer, and he admires her. And there's Camilla. Yes, that seemed to be about the Queen and Prince Charles, basically. She's not going to the Commonwealth Summit this year, which is the first one she's missed in 40 years, promoting thoughts that she might be sort of cutting down on longer air journeys now that she's 87.
That's basically it, scaling down her royal duties.
Yeah.
What did she do during the state opening of Parliament in a sign that she may want to hand over some of her workload?
Abseiled down the front of the Big Ben, screaming, "I've had enough." They're all bleeding bonkers in there.
Why is Charles particularly keen to attend the Commonwealth Heads of Government conference?
Well, he's head of the Commonwealth, not just of Britain. So he's got to... They've all got to vote to make him head of the Commonwealth.
He doesn't have automatic right
No.
to become head of the Commonwealth after the Queen's death. So
They could give it to anyone.
Exactly.
Christine Hamilton. I like the idea of her meeting Mugabe. Oh, you're a mass murderer.
And I'm Robert Mugabe.
There should be a whole series of jokes that end up with a punchline, "And I'm Robert Mugabe."
Let's try and think of a few.
Yeah, I'll have a
through.
think when he starts talking again. I'll have a give me a copy.
What did Dame Helen Mirren do while dressed as the Queen?
She was doing the audience in the West End of London, reprising her role as Her Majesty the Queen, and a bunch of gay drummers was drowning her out. And she come out and complained about it. And she told them to off.
How did they know it wasn't the Queen?
Exactly, precisely. Yeah.
Well, one bystander told The Times, "I saw an old lady in a green dress with white pearls and a crown go up to the conductor and say, 'Shut the up.' People have paid £100 to go to the theatre." That's quite expensive, isn't it? £100.
How much are you, John? How much to see you perform?
I've never paid. What? That's about what? Score.
Yeah,
About score.
About a score.
Yeah, price.
And how many poems do you get?
About 19 yards of poetry.
And what speed are you doing over those 19 yards?
Negotiable.
Oh, right.
No, I was a fan a long time ago.
Oh, thanks, Ian.
What
Still
song?
am, obviously.
Yeah, I was going to say, where did I block my copy?
Copy book.
Are you a fan?
Yes.
Can't even say yes with conviction.
Because I know you're going to say, well, recite some of his poetry then. That's what I knew was
I'll
coming.
be asking you questions on it later.
Exactly.
I've written the wedding favourite, one called I Want to Be Yours. I'm not going to recite it, but it's compulsory on the GCSE syllabus, Michael Gove will be glad to hear. It is to modern weddings what Always Look on the Bright Side of Life by Eric Idle is to humanist funerals. You won't know about that. I'm 64, I could go to 7 a week. If I really wanted to. But no man can live on vol au vents alone.
Anyway, listen, Prince Andrew's had a bit of good luck this week. Does anyone know what he's become?
Yeah, he's become a fellow of the Royal Society of
That's right.
Science, I think.
That's right. And actually, many senior members are royally pissed off about it.
Yes, they are.
Professor of Science James Wilson commented, there are plenty of institutions with a royal history that aren't spending the 21st century with their heads lodged quite so firmly up the Windsor arch. Adding, anyway, welcome, Your Highness.
Would you care for a vol au vent?
What was the complaint about the ballot paper?
That it was rigged.
According to the Times, actually, one of the rebels' central objections was the use of ballot papers that carried only a yes box. So, unable to vote no, the results were as follows. 147 fellows voted for the Prince and 1,128 abstained. And in a final bit of royal news, what has the Welsh Rugby Union unveiled this week?
Oh, a portrait of the Queen.
It is indeed.
Oh, yeah. Doesn't look anything like her.
There we are. It's a new portrait of the Queen,
Not done her any
painted by the
favours.
Welsh-born artist Dan Llewellyn-Hall and commissioned by the Welsh Rugby Union, and fittingly makes her look like a scrum half.
It's a picture of David Walliams.
Well, the science was rocked this week by the decision to elect Prince Andrew as a Fellow of the Royal Society. According to the Times, one explanation for the yes vote was that the ballot papers carried only a yes box. An absurd way to set out a ballot paper, although Alex Salmond has already put in an order for 5 million. Meanwhile, Helen Mirren stormed out of her West End play this week in order to shout at a group of drummers publicising a gay festival. The organiser said, not much shocks you on the gay scene, but seeing Helen Mirren dressed as the Queen cussing and swearing, that's a new one. What, a screaming Queen on a gay parade? And so, to round two, the one-armed bandit of news. Fingers on buzzers, teams. Here's the first one.
That's a mocked-up Alex Ferguson. Sir Alex
is.
Ferguson, English football's most successful ever manager, has just resigned, has retired after 26-odd years at being at the top. So basically, yes, he's retiring, which is very unusual in the football. They usually get the sack before you get to retire.
Absolutely.
Are you a Man United fan?
Of course.
Are you?
I'm such a United fan.
Yeah.
I moved out of Manchester.
Well, why was his departure a shock?
Because he denied it 3 days earlier.
Yeah.
Well, that's right. He told fans that he was here for the long ride. I certainly don't have any plans at the moment to walk away. Though he is having a hip operation, so... But he's also had a pacemaker fitted.
Yes.
As always, looking to gain some additional time. How long has he been manager for?
27 years, is it?
26 years and 6 months.
Yeah.
Beating the second longest serving manager by 26 years, basically. Ed Miliband tweeted, "Proud man, great manager, staunch Labour Party supporter, Sir Alex Ferguson will never be forgotten." At which point someone had to tell him he hadn't died. So, can we do a quick Fergie quiz?
Yeah, yes, please.
What did Gordon Brown give Sir Alex Ferguson again and again and again?
Abusive notes in the post.
Gordon Brown sent Ferguson numerous CDs about the assassination of JFK. Fergie said, "Gordon sent me 35 CDs on it."
And every one he'd crossed out Kennedy and written Blair.
And what does Alex Ferguson keep by his bed?
His wife.
Hopefully he keeps her in his bed, not
Yeah,
by
exactly.
it.
No,
He
exactly.
has to stand there all night.
She's on the subs bench until she calls her up.
No, he keeps, by his bed, he keeps JFK's autopsy report. Now, can anyone here impersonate a Liverpudlian? I have to tell you that Jon Snow can't. Here he is discussing Alex Ferguson's departure.
Well, I was driven here by a Liverpool supporter who said, "Oh, I hope they take Moyes," because they really do regard him.
When the tide is high and the crow flies towards the horizon, there will be change of management.
Fingers on buzzers, teams.
I don't know what that is. Oh, yes, I do. It's Trafalgar Square, and there's a great big Christmas decoration on it.
It's an onion.
Why is it on top of Nelson's column, then?
Well, it's to do with a soon-to-be auctioned letter has revealed that on the eve of his fatal victory at the Battle of Trafalgar, Nelson was preoccupied trying to stop people using emergency onions.
What emergency is served best by an onion?
Well, it's not that much of an emergency, but scurvy,
Oh, yes, of course,
obviously, was treated by onions, which are a good source of vitamin C. And emergency onions became such a preoccupation for Nelson, he only said, "Kiss me, Hardy," to establish if he'd been eating them. On the subject of famous people and food, a New York artist has been photographing famous people's riders for an exhibition.
Oh, right.
I'm going to give you the rider, and I want you to give me the famous person.
OK.
This is the first one. A bottle of Absolute, Jack Daniels, Chivas Regal, Courvoisier and cough drops.
Anne Widdecombe.
It's Frank Sinatra.
Frank Sinatra.
OK, here's the next one.
Yeah.
Fish and chips, McDonald's cheeseburgers without the buns, 100 prunes and figs, and a framed photo of Princess Diana.
Elton John. Britney Spears.
It is Britney
Is it?
Spears. Well done.
You the man, Paul. You the man.
OK, here we go. Boiled eggs, turkey bacon and turkey sausage ready at any time throughout the day.
Bernard Matthews. He's dead.
It's another slightly bonkers American
Someone who likes
young woman
turkeys.
singer.
How old's Avril Lavigne?
Is that a question for the police?
I'll tell you, it's Rihanna.
I know these fad diets.
You've never been on a diet.
The donut diet. A third of it's not there.
Third of it's not there, it's all there.
There's a guy going into business for himself.
OK, this is the memo about onions written by Lord Nelson on the eve of Trafalgar. The Navy bought its onions in bulk. The onions were brought alongside the ships on long, low boats, sort of onion barges. Fingers on buzzers, teams. Here's the next one.
Is that a celeriac?
Isn't that an artichoke? Is it an artichoke? Oh, it's
like the
fennel.
rib,
No, it's
you know,
fennel.
rib.
Fennel.
Welcome to another edition of Is It Fennel or Not? We've judged fennel. They say no. If you think you've got a right answer, phone this number now.
Is the news that plants can sort of talk.
Talk.
Communicate to each other.
Plants can sort of talk. How scientific is this?
It's a paper by Prince Andrew.
No,
Must be right. Must be right.
So, Australian
get
scientists
it.
have discovered that plants are capable of basic communication. Blimey, I didn't even know Australians were capable of that. Fingers on buzzers, teams.
This is the closing of the Spice Girls musical, isn't it? Viva Forever or 6 months.
Yeah. When it opened, the Sunday Times said it was 3 hours of tedious, cliché amateur dramatics and endless yowling. And the Mirror said it was like a clapped-out Vauxhall Viva, 5 careless owners, too many miles on the clock. Apparently the show was so bad, the desperate audience begged a gay parade to come and drum outside the theatre. Meanwhile, what has been described as the most sexist show ever?
Most sexist show ever.
It's a show that's on in Denmark at the moment.
Oh. Ladies, you're not good.
Well, actually, yes, it's kind of... It's not that far off. It's a Danish show called Blackman, which sees naked women paraded in front of 2 men who appraise their bodies.
Oh, yeah, I did see.
Let's show you a picture of that.
Yes, I did see.
That would, of course, never be allowed on the BBC, although that was how they interviewed secretaries in the 70s. Comments from Thomas Blackman include, the female body thirsts for the words of a man, and I've always been an arsehole. I'm popping over to audition for that. That'll f*** him up. Right, time now for the odd one out round. Your 4 are sausages in the Scottish Parliament, Cherie Blair's eyes, a house in Devon, and some double yellow lines in Swindon.
Well, I know about the house in Devon. The owners repainted it, and the local council said it's too pink.
Right.
So this is about something being repainted. I'd say...
Is there a portrait of Cherie where they repainted the eyes to make
Yes.
it look more like her?
Well, it is her eyes, and they were the wrong colour, yes. Who's going to have a stab at the odd one
The
out?
odd one out is the
Is
sausages.
No.
No.
The lines.
The lines are the odd one out. They've all had their colour criticised, apart from the yellow lines, which were the right colour, but in the wrong place. Here they are. According to the Mail, the council blamed the gaff on contractors, incredibly saying the workers had forgotten just how big cars actually are. A sausage in the Scottish Parliament. One diner complained about the sausage colour, another said, found cling film in my salad, though the most frequent complaint was found salad on my plate. Cherie Blair's eyes, in a recent portrait by the artist Adam Birtwistle, she pointed out her eyes were painted the wrong colour, and he had to repaint them before it went on display. It's not a perfect likeness of Cherie.
She complained about the eyes.
The artist has really captured the way she lights up a room, if you look at that. What else was described as being the wrong colour this week?
Was it Robert Kilroy Silk?
Well, you're along the right lines. It was the BNP's South Shields candidate, Lady Dorothy Macbeth Brooks. Here she is. No, not that one. No, not that one, not that one. There she is.
Gosh, that...
You see 50% teak.
Unfortunately for Dorothy Brooke, her fake tan didn't help her performance at the polls, and she only came 6th. Despite her campaign slogan, the future's bright. Time now for the missing words round. This week's guest publication is the Shropshire Fungus Group newsletter. And we start with the new name for a shaggy parasol is what?
Parasolium Boris Johnsonismus.
Yeah, have you ever heard of a Chlorophyllum olivieri?
Yes.
No, you haven't. This is from, of course, the Shropshire Fungus Group newsletter. According to one reporter, Chlorophyllum olivieri is the new name for the shaggy parasol, which used to be Lepiota rhacodes, then became Macrolepiota rhacodes. Then I thought it changed to Chlorophyllum rhacodes. However, it didn't and is now known as Chlorophyllum olivieri. Blimey, I had enough trouble when Marathon changed to Snickers.
Thought your pronunciation was brilliant.
Thank you very much. And I don't want to go out with you. Next, Gordon Brown, what with Beyonce?
Not linked.
No, the answer is Gordon Brown gets a gig with Beyonce.
I don't believe it.
Gordon Brown will be appearing in a charity concert with Beyonce. It'll be amazing appearing on stage with that famous arse, but Beyonce doesn't seem to mind. Next, hitting a log with a hammer is a good way to what?
To assist with the broadcast of fungal spores.
Absolutely. That's the best answer we've ever had on any question.
No, it's hitting a log with a hammer is a good way to ensure your shiitake mushrooms wake up.
Oh, well,
Wake up.
Here's a tip. If you find your husband walking off into the forest with a hammer, saying, I'm just going to wake up my mushrooms, I think you should call the police. Lastly, being called Ian means what?
Never having to say you're sorry.
means that you will have a golden future laid out in front of you. Your bare feet will glide across the carpet of good fortune as the sunlight of happiness comes through the window of opportunity.
Yeah. No. Being called Ian means that you are one of the most unhappy people in the world. That leads us to the final scores, which are... Michael and Ian have 3, but John and Paul are the winners with 5.
How do we manage that? We did our best, didn't we?
But before we go, there's just time for the caption competition.
I told them bungee jumping at my age.
And I leave you with news that in St Albans, UKIP unveils its new diversity think tank tasked with reaching out to the immigrant community. In Hackney, a delighted traffic warden meets his annual quota with 1 ticket. And after leaving this studio without embarrassing himself too much, Michael Fabricant goes out and lets his hair down. Good night.
Exactly the reason you stayed in. Not Going Out is next, and Lee's trying to make Lucy jealous. That could be amusing next. While later at 10:35, we've got a challenge and a half for Graham Norton tonight as Lord Sugar drops in.